Hi, folks. Dale York, Just Fish Outdoors, coming back at you with part two of our recent Lake Picachos trip. This trip was done back in the middle of March, and we just had an absolute wonderful time down there. For you bass fishermen that are looking to have a great trip, I really suggest that you guys put this on your bucket list for places to go in the next couple of years, because this lake is just absolutely phenomenal right now. And if you go down with Ron Speed Jr., he just takes care of you from start to finish. The trip went off without a single hitch. And that's not always possible, as we know, as we travel around and fish these different places. But the equipment was exceptional. The guides were very, very knowledgeable. They put us on fish every day. And in this part two, we're going to talk about day number two and the numbers we posted. We're going to talk a little bit about the lures we fished. And if you guys are looking to do this, drop me a line, send me an email, justfishoutdoors@justfish.com, or get on my Facebook page, Just Fish Outdoors, and you can send me an email or a message, and I'll be more than happy to try and answer questions. We just had a wonderful, wonderful time. And like I said, this is coming up on part two. We'll talk about the day we had. We'll talk a little bit about the baits. And after a while, we'll come back and get into more detail as to the baits we throw, the rigs we threw, what our recommendations are as far as going down there, and just try to answer some of the questions that I've got over the last few weeks. So this is part two of Just Fish Outdoors Lake Picachos down in Mexico. This lake is about 30-40 miles north of Mazatlan, and it's real easy to get to, and it is absolutely loaded with fish, y'all. So put this on your bucket list of places to go, and let's get into the video on part two and the roundup of the day. And after a while, I'll be back with you and talk about a little bit more about the specifics of the baits and the techniques we used, and even some of the recommendations for the time of year that you should be looking at for going down there. So stick around. Here comes part two of our Lake Picachos trip in the middle of March of 2020. Hi, folks. Dale York, Just Fish Outdoors, and welcome to another episode of Lake Picachos Day 2. Man, we just had a banner day on the lake today, didn't we, Larry?
It was a great day on the lake. We started out trying to fish shallow. Of course, the fish weren't cooperating too much on the shallow bite, but about the second time that we moved out offshore, everything picked up. Fishing got great.
Oh man, I tell you, we had 115 fish today total for the day. We had 80 fish this morning in the boat. And how crazy was that? I mean, the deep bite just was absolutely out of this world. I caught almost all of my fish on lizards, and I think you did about the same, with the exception of that little trick worm you were using on me there.
Yeah, I had a watermelon black flake with a little bit of red in it, and I had a chartreuse tail on it, and I couldn't keep their mouth shut. I mean, every time I put that thing in the water, there was something biting on it.
I tell you, we hit one hole today that was just absolutely crazy. I don't know how many fish we caught out of that hole, but for 30, 40 minutes, it was just fish on every cast. And they were good quality fish. We caught a lot of fish today in that 2 to 3 pound range, especially later this morning before we came in. It was just crazy. 115 fish for a day at Lake Picachos, and we just talked to another group of people, another pair of guys that fished today, and they had 120 something.
I think that's right. Yeah, the guys that we've been eating dinner with. And they had a great day as well. They went up and fished up around the tilapia nets, and said that they did pretty good on the lizards, just like we were doing.
Yeah, that's two different groups that had over 100 fish today that I know of. And once again, my best baits were watermelon-colored lizards, fishing them Texas style. We caught a lot of fish on that particular bait, and we actually caught a few fish on some other things, but that seemed to be our number one hottest bait.
It was. I caught a couple on spinnerbait late in the afternoon on the afternoon fish, and our two biggest fish came in the afternoon session. So we had one at 4.6 and one at 4.4, and we were probably averaging about 2.5, maybe to 3 pounds average for the whole day.
Yeah, the average size fish was a little bigger today than I think what we had yesterday, with the exception of that one hole we fished yesterday on that river bend where every fish we swung at was 2.5 plus. But my gosh, what an excellent day. Day number 2 at Lake Picachos. We got 1 day left, sadly. and then we got to go back to the real world. What's your thoughts on day 2?
Well, I tell you what, I thought we'd have a hard time topping what we did yesterday on day 1, but today was phenomenal. We had a really good guide today. His name was Chico, and he did us a real good job. They take care of you down here. They really do.
Yeah, the service down here is just astronomical. It's off the charts. I mean, this evening for dinner we had lobster and shrimp. For seafood lovers like ourselves, you just can't get any better than lobster and shrimp for dinner, and it was absolutely wonderful. And the service continues to be top shelf. They really, really take good care of you down here. And for people who are looking to come to Lake Picachos and kind of try on what we're doing, they need to get a hold of Ron Speed Jr. and Ron Speed Jr. Adventures. That's who we booked with, and we have not had one hitch.
No, we haven't. Jorge and his staff, they wait on you hand and foot. If you need anything, all you got to do is ask, and they're right there, very friendly, and really helpful.
Yeah, the equipment's top shelf. I mean, we fished out of a brand new boat today, and great Lowrance electronics on the boat. Great Yamaha outboards pushing the express boats, top shelf boats. Everything worked. We just haven't had any problems at all, and the service has been impeccable.
Yeah, I'll second that. I mean, it just doesn't get much better than this. I highly recommend anybody that wants to come out here and do this, get your stuff together and come on down. Yeah,
I mean, we're right here at the height of the big coronavirus thing, and we're not having any problems whatsoever. Travel was awesome. They picked us up at the airport, brought us right to the lodge, and it's just a 5-star establishment for anyone looking to do this, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and that's going to wrap up day number 2, folks. 115 fish in the boat, and there's no telling how many we missed and hooked, but it was an awesome day. Yeah, it was an awesome day. Had lobster and shrimp for dinner. The service has been just impeccable. A great place to come fish Lake Picachos in Mexico. Any final thoughts, Larry?
Looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, unfortunately we just have 1 day left. That's the sad part. So we'll give you a wrap up tomorrow as well, and visit my YouTube channel, Just Fish Outdoors. Also visit my Facebook page, Just Fish Outdoors. I'll be posting a summary video up in a few days of everything we did. And if you're looking to book a trip down here, get in touch with me, and we can certainly talk about the details. Well, as you can tell by listening to that day number 2 wrap up there with me and Larry, boy, it was just a lights out day. 115 fish. We had a lot of quality fish. We didn't catch any huge fish, but we caught some 4s and a whole bunch of 2.5s, 3.5s. It was just a really, really awesome day. Now, what we did on day number 2 is we started out fishing in that 6 to 10, 6 to 12 foot of water, and we were throwing combinations of Texas rigged lizards, Texas rigged worms, jigs, spinner baits, a lot of variations on baits. And the fish we were catching, both in numbers and size, was actually pretty slow and pretty small on top of that. And so as the morning progressed, we started fishing deeper and deeper and deeper, and eventually we were fishing water, 10 to 15, 10 to 20 foot deep. And boy, we just started hammering the fish. So the conditions on day number 2 were a little different than the conditions on day number 1. We had a little more cloud cover on day number 1, and we pretty much had a high bluebird, lots of sun on day number 2, and I think that's probably what drove those fish fairly deep, or deeper anyway. We were down there in the middle of March. We were down there. We actually fished, I think, March 14th, 15th, and 16th, I think, is the days we fished of 2020. And we did have some variations in weather, but the guides reacted very good. They changed their tactics. And like I said, by day number 2, by 9 o'clock in the morning, we were hammering the fish. We had 80 fish that morning before noon, before we come in from lunch, and that's just what was put in the boat. That doesn't count what we missed and what we swung at and what we hooked and it got off. Once again, our favorite baits, or the baits that produce the high numbers of fish, were just a very simple Texas rigged 6 and 8 inch lizards in watermelon with red flake, and watermelon with black flake. There's several different manufacturers that make those. There's several different big box stores that you can go and buy those on. The Bass Pro Shop brand works real good. Zoom work real good. There's just a wide variety of different manufacturers that make that particular kind of bait, and it was producing very well. We caught a lot of fish on worms, 6 to 8 inch worms. Once again, Carolina rig fishing. It just produced, that Carolina rig and the Texas rig produced the vast majority of our fish. Probably more of the Texas rig than the Carolina rig. Larry and I were throwing both 17 and 20 pound clear or fluorocarbon. And we fishing quarter, 3/8 ounce lead with 3, 4, and 5/0 worm hooks, depending on the size of the bait you were using, and it was just producing a lot of strikes. There's no telling how many strikes we had in that morning. It was just crazy. Once again, that's primarily what we were doing. We were throwing Texas rig, throwing the lizards and the worms and the 6 all the way up to the 8 inch variety. Watermelon is the key color down there. Watermelon with red flake, watermelon with black flake. It seemed not to matter which color flake you had in the lizard, but watermelon was definitely the color. We did catch fish on black. We did catch fish on purple, a couple of other colors, but watermelon just far exceeded the number of bites we were getting as far as Texas rig goes. So stock up on those if you're going down there, because you're going to use a bunch of them. We didn't see much of a topwater bite. I didn't see much of a spinnerbait bite. I did catch some really nice fish on a big deep diving crankbait. That did seem to produce some pretty good fish too. Didn't get a lot of strikes on it, but when you did get a strike on it, it was a better fish. That seemed to work as well. So, stock up on those watermelon lizards before you go down there, because you're going to use a bunch of them. That's for sure. All right, let's wind this thing up. So this is Larry Stoltz and Dale York for Just Fish Outdoors saying, we'll catch you later.